All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and salutation unto the hopeful elect, the 1/3 of Yashar Allah, upholding the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability. Peace and salutation. This is the brother Bakwasha. And I want to talk about real quick a weather modification device known as cloud seeding. And I bring it up because recently there has been this dramatic winter storm that has never happened before. And there used to be a time where weather was natural, and because the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, Esau, the so-called white man, literally corrupts everything that he has within his power, whether it be weather, whether it be food, anything that he can put his hands on, he will corrupt and he will destroy. And so I just wanted to cover a couple of these elements here, and I'm going to bring out a couple of AI generated thoughts regarding it and a few scriptures, because this is the man of sin being revealed. There used to be times where there was real snow, there was real rain, but now all of these things are being modified, being controlled, and weaponized. And really, that's the word I really want to focus on, is being weaponized. Because when you can shut down a whole corridor of a state or of a country, essentially what you're doing is you're causing the problem, which is now manipulating the minds of the people, which is keeping them in a complete state of fear, while Davos is literally creating a digital enslavement society that people are unaware of, because their primary focus is on things that are the problem, when in the background, Esau, the so-called white man, is creating the solution, which is still the problem, because the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. So actually, let's start here. Let's just bring this out real quick. This is Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So currently, there is someone that is covering the faces of the judges thereof, ultimately covering the faces of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. And why is he doing that? This is Ezekiel chapter 28 and 2. It says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thine heart is lifted up, okay, and thou hast said, I am God. I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, which is the people. Yet thou art not Salakia, yet thou art a man and not God. Though thy set thine heart as the heart of God, which is the mind. Because in order to modify or weaponize weather, you're trying to overtake the natural course that Yahweh Shai has created. He's created the earth in all of its seasons and all of its times. But what does Esau, the so-called white man, do? Verse 5, it says, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. So all of the foundations that Yahweh Shemi Shai has set, he set the seasons, he set the times, he set the laws, he set the order. And this is what Esau, the so-called white man, is doing, creating disorder, creating chaos, because he wants to be like Yahweh Shemi Shai. The notion of the charagma and implanting that into people to where they cannot buy or sell is overall control over the thoughts, the mind, the coming in and the going out of people. When that is strictly the rule of Yahweh Shemi Shai, which is the creator of all things. Okay? But what does Esau do? He changes the foundations, right? And then he puts himself in that scenario to where now he's taking something that's natural, that's seasonal, and now weaponizing it for commercial gain and dominant control. Okay? Let's get back in here in Ezekiel real quick. This is Ezekiel 28, verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver in thy treasures. Verse 5, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, thou hast increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. So let's grab this word here real quick for traffic.
Strong's H, 7404. Rechala.
Merchandise, traffic, trade. And so one may ask, how does merchandise, traffic, and trade have to do with weaponizing the weather? Well, when all of the systems that are in place to prevent snowstorms or floods, right, are there, and then there's flood insurance, and then there's life insurance. All of these things are created to where now Esau reaps from the problem in which he created. That's traffic. Okay? Because now people have to get new homes. They have to get more insurance. They have to replace all of the things that have been damaged or broken. When if this was a natural event, it might not have had the same intensity. Okay? So let's just listen in real quick. I mean, this is Esau's wickedness. So, take it with a grain of salt, but I at least just wanted to cover a little bit of this and we'll wrap up.
Dating all the way back to 1950. So I decided to tackle this issue and help everyone understand what's really going on. So I sat down with Colorado's weather modification team. Did you know that Colorado has been modifying its weather dating all the way back to the 1950s? It's called cloud seeding, and it's a process that helps storms produce a little more snow.
A minute amount of silver iodide solution is sprayed across a propane flame that is vaporized. It's carried up into the cloud, and then the ice crystals grow big enough to fall out as snow or rain.
Colorado currently has 7 active seeding projects with an 8th warmer weather program on the way in Weld County.
With our geography and mountain ranges, we just have the perfect area to cloud seed, because with these ground-based generators, you really need that orographic lift that you get from the cloud to get the solution up into the cloud base where it's needed.
Each seeded storm can add roughly 8 to 12% more snowfall per event. That's extra runoff feeding rivers like the Colorado and Gunnison, which is critical for the downstream states.
It's not going to solve all of Colorado's drought problems.
And so this is where Esau tries to say, well, this is a good thing. We're producing more snow and more water. But the question is, should the weather be modified? The answer is no. If there's a drought, then move. Okay. But once again, this is Esau using his traffic to now create. And if this is in Colorado, and I'm going to read it real quick, all of this stuff has been going on since the 50s. Okay. So cloud seeding risk. Dangers of cloud seeding, including potential environmental impacts from silver iodine accumulation. Though concentrations are often low, concerns about bioaccumulation in aquatic life, risk of altering natural rainfall patterns, depriving downwind areas, and unintended consequences like flooding or severe weather, though scientific consensus on severe harm is mixed, with many studies showing minimal risk at current usage levels, but more research is needed for widespread use. And so this is Esau trying to cover his tracks. Because who are doing the studies? The same people that are the experts. That's why even growing up, I was always like, well, who in the hell are all of these experts? The same people that are doing the studies. Well, then if they want the agenda to move forward, they're going to move it forward regardless. Okay. But this is Esau using his words and his propaganda and his sorcery to beguile the people, i.e., the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. Okay. Let's bring this out real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? And Lucifer goes into being a light bearer. But the light that Esau bears is really lies, okay, and sorcery. Verse 13, for thou hast said in thine heart, once again, your mind, Salakia, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And that's exactly what he mentioned in Ezekiel, the 28th chapter. Okay. It says, thus saith the Lord, verse 2, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am God. I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Through what? Weather modification or weather weaponization. Okay. Putting silver iodine in the air to create more snow or more rainfall. And people think these meteorologists are just some type of forecaster of weather when they're not. They're just telling the story that backs the science, quote unquote, okay, or the manipulation. Because once again, the studies are coming from the experts. All right. So that's the first part. And I just want brothers to notice when you put in one or two different words, and I know most Akim know this, the AI overview changes. Okay. So I put in here cloud seeding risk. And then I put in here cloud seeding wicked. It says cloud seeding is a weather modification technique used to increase rain or snow by dispersing silver iodine or other substances into clouds, primarily to combat droughts and boost water supplies. Now, if those were the real reasons, why is there concern and risk? Because you're polluting the air, you're polluting the water. Okay? Matter of fact, let's grab that. Everything Esau does is pollution. This is Micah chapter 2, verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with the sword destruction. Let's grab this word here, polluted, real quick.
Strong's H 2930. Tameh. Tameh.
To be unclean, be impure, to defile, okay? To pollute, all right? In a moral sense, contaminated, all right? So in a moral sense, meaning the people are contaminated. So, which brings upon contamination of everything. Okay? Let's see if we can blow this up real quick. A microscopic amount of silver iodine is sprayed across a propane flame. The silver iodine particle rises into the clouds. These particles enhance the cloud's ability to convert super cooled liquid droplets into ice crystals. Ice crystals grow big enough to fall as increased snow in targeted areas. So who determines where the drought is? Who determines what areas need snow? But then all of a sudden you have the worst snow ever out of the blue. There was no foreshadowing of it. It was just announced like 1 or 2 days before. Oh, hey, by the way. And if brothers go back, especially down here in Texas, and look at the weather pattern, the weather was completely hot in Texas right up until the second week, maybe the third week of January. And then all of a sudden, just the worst snow ever? Come on, man. That's a weapon. It's a commercial weapon. Okay? Because the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. All right? So let's wrap up. All right, so that was cloud seeding wicked. This is cloud seeding risk. So when I put in here cloud seeding wickedness, let's see what comes up. It says cloud seeding, an 80-year-old weather modification technique using silver iodine to increase rain or snow, is sometimes criticized as playing God. Okay? Or accused of causing floods. Because who monitors when, once again, the distribution of all of this silver iodine is put into the atmosphere? Nobody. You don't have a weather channel saying, hey, we're about to create some new snow to where XYZ are happening. None of these things are talked about. But these are just more devices of the wicked, man. Okay? And we pray all Akim, do well as far as, these created weaponized weather scenarios, man. It says it's sometimes criticized as playing God or accused of causing floods, while critics express concerns about environmental impacts and ethical implications. Studies show no evidence that the silver iodine used is toxic to humans or the environment. Because once again, who's doing the studies? Esau, the same people that are creating the weapon, man. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up on this, man. This is it's just wicked, bro. And this place has to go. This is 2 Thessalonians 2:7. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now let it will let until he be taken out of the way. That's it. Because his mind is trying to be like Yahweh Shemi Shai. And as long as the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, this is what the wicked is going to do. But it says, only he who now let it will let until he be taken out of the way. That's when there will be no more son of the morning, no more light to be bared. Okay, because Esau's light is wickedness. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. That's the answer. That's the solution. Okay, which is Esau, the so-called white man, being revealed, judged, and destroyed by Yahweh Shemi Shai, which is his judgment. It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Okay. That all power, signs, and lying wonders is forms of weather modification. Okay. And then he can tell you what it means. He can tell you what it is. He can tell you what it ain't. Okay. And we know that the wicked are estranged from the womb, and they go forth as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Okay? Scriptures also tell us to, hey, believe none of these wicked people, man. Okay? Verse 10, it says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So everything Esau does is to destroy, to corrupt. Okay? That's why scripture says he is as death. Okay? So everything that he does is corruption, because he's against life. He's against order. He's against the way of Yahweh Shemi Shai. So I just wanted to go into that real quick, because like I said, some brothers know about this weapon of weather being modified. But the more and more you see it, and then you have scenarios like this where the weather is 90 degrees one day and then 15 degrees the next day, or it's all geared towards making people sick, making people ill, having to depend on, these drugs that Esau produces. Okay, going to the stores and buying useless items of food that you would not have bought unless this scenario occurred. Esau's just having people run around like mice, man. Just moving the cheese here, moving the cheese there, distracting people, while behind closed doors, he's literally corrupting life and has people in a maze, man, or a trap. So, Lord will, this is edifying for the elect. And until next time, shalom.